I'm Donna Hetzler.
And I'm Sally Smith.
We, just like you, are bravely walking through the dark valleys of life in hopes of scaling joyful summits.
We believe that safe and trusted women are a force to be reckoned with. When we climb together, we can reach the mountaintop.
Many of our challenges come from feeling as if we are stuck while trying to ascend, hiding in crevices, waiting for storms to pass.
Might we suggest that you have a more proactive role in reaching the peaks of your own life?
Let's laugh at the untruths we were taught, from the common religious myths to the lies we believe about our situations and about ourselves.
It is our hope that our time together brings you solace from life's daily drudgery and a bit of lighthearted laughter.
This is a safe place where you are welcome, right where you are, even in your questions and doubts. So rise up, sister. It's time to conquer together.
And we certainly hope you'll say,
"Now that's funny."
Welcome to That's Funny. And here's your hostesses, Donna Hetzler and Sally Smith.
Hostesses.
Hostesses with the mostesses.
With the mostesses.
Welcome, everyone. I cannot believe we're on episode 3 of That's Funny.
Oh my goodness, it's because we have had so many episodes filmed and then tech issues, and thank goodness for Shane Smith, our producer, our exec, the one who keeps us in line. So yes, it should have been 6, 7, 8, I don't even know right now, but we're on 3, so.
We are. And our topic for this month is God never gives us more than we can handle.
Now that's funny.
As Donna was saying, we've had so many setbacks getting this show up and running. But Donna and I feel very compelled that this is what we are supposed to be doing. So we are pressing on. We don't know if the enemy is blocking us or if God is pushing us to go deeper, but we're pressing on.
Yes, and maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that today.
Yeah, I definitely think it's maybe a little bit of both. What's been funny for you this week, Donna?
Oh, well, I just had a funny moment, but this whole week it's just put a smile on my face because I've had so many DMs and messages about trials that some of our friends and sisters are going through, and they'll use our line like, "God never gives you more than you can handle." Now that's funny, and they're sending me videos. I have a video from Florida, so it's just been like, so it makes my heart cheerful.
That's great. You know, it kind of makes me feel like we're putting these practices into motion, what we're talking about, you know, like how did the practices go? The first week we were talking about Ezekiel and the heart posture. Right. And, you know, can these dry bones live? Only God knows. And then we talked the second week about Job and everything that Job went through. He came into this world with nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. He's leaving with nothing.
I got nothing.
Oh, sing
nothing without you, Lord. You.
Wow.
That was actually Whitney Houston. Sorry to do that to you, Whitney. But I think Job was the original singer of that.
Now that's funny.
Well,
Well, yes, I mean, it says, you know, the Lord gives and He takes away.
Right.
So, you know, how do we blend all of these practices into place?
So for me, I spent a lot of time with our first practice, just really holding things with open hands and thinking about Ezekiel, saying, only you know, God, only you know the outcome of this. And then bringing in Job with, no matter what the Lord gives or takes away, I will worship. And so I'm thinking of one thing that the Lord gave me a couple of years ago, and I have been holding on to it with clenched fists. Like, I love this gift. I'm never giving this gift up. And my spiritual director, Ruth, said, what you have to do is you have to love the giver over the gift. And so what these practices have done for me this week is to continue to work on me with control and releasing.
Wow.
How about for you?
That's great, Donna. I just really am going back to Job. Mm-hmm. You know, I just kind of feel like I've had so many things happen in my life. And this past couple months,
Yes.
I've really been having to just really lean into that practice because I've been going through so much with some family members.
Right.
So I've just really had to lean into I just got to give it.
Yeah.
You know, I've just
Open
gotta give
hands.
it. I can't hold on to it. I have so much anxiety, and I just have to give it away.
Even sitting here, I can feel myself like
I
I
know.
said I'm going to give that gift up, but I'm really not.
I'm really not. I'm
I'm
gonna take
gonna
it
hold
back.
on to it now. It's good.
Let's jump into trials and temptations. As
Okay.
we were talking.
Yeah, so last week we were talking about Job. We did a little, since we had all those issues with our episodes, and I felt like God was saying, pull it apart more, because we were saying that there are, our trials and then our temptations, and they're separate. But when we get into Job, they kind of get blended. And so the way I see it is, okay, sometimes God allows us to be tried, with some tests and build our character. And then we've got over here Satan, who tempts us. And I think it's like white, black, but then there's some gray in the middle, because like with the story of Job, there was these trials, but then Satan said, oh, but if I do this to him, God, he will curse you to your face. Let's see what happens. And now we get into the gray. And so I think God wanted us to pull this apart more, even though we can do word studies in Greek and Hebrew about the words temptation and trial and what that all means. At the end of the day, that's how it sits in my mind, is like, okay, we've got these tests, and then we've got these temptations, and sometimes they come together and they're both.
Okay. I kind of see it as two separate motivations.
Ooh, say more about that.
So I feel like God does not tempt us.
Mm-hmm.
He allows us to have trials and tests in our life to help shape us.
Right.
He loves us. We are his children. But then I feel like there's Satan over here, and he wants to kill, steal, destroy everything in our lives. He wants to bring us down. He wants us to fail.
Yes.
So I kind of see it as two separate motivations.
Yes, and so I think once we see, like if we're saying we're going through something and it feels like it is more than you can handle, then first of all, we don't want to say God never gives you more than you can handle,
No, we
right?
don't.
Like, don't insert that, whatever you do. But we can look at it objectively and say, okay, what's the motivation here? Am I supposed to be walking more towards Christ? Is Satan trying to bring me down in a certain area? And where do they both blend? So I love that, pulling it apart even further and saying the motivation too. That's
Right.
really good.
Yeah. So for me, with all of my tests,
Yes.
I kind of feel like it's more of not temptations, but tests. Because I'm saying to myself, okay, I have no control over this. I'm giving it to God,
Right.
which I try to do, but then it's one test after another test after another test, and I'm like, I don't know whether to give it, take it away, control it. It's just
What to do with
what
it.
to do with that, right?
Yes.
How about for you?
So in 2008, my crisis began with the Great Recession. And many of you know my husband was a home builder, and we lost everything financially. And then in this 10-year journey, David lost his identity. And so I feel like that first part of the journey, it was trials or tests, if you will, about where God was leading me. I can't say what God was doing in David's life. I can only speak for myself in my own journey. But I feel like God was leading me to lead, not only spiritually, but financially. And there was those trials and tests, and like, how am I going to be more like Jesus through this? And he really boosted me into a position where I became the provider, a great businesswoman, a spiritual leader. I didn't want to lead in any of those capacities, but I did. So that I had that. And then in that whole thing, I feel like there were times where Satan would come in and I'd hop into that gray. And I remember hearing at times like these voices in my head of, you never signed up for this. God's not going to provide for you today. And so then the tests come, and it was just sprinkled in there while I'm, trying to grow more Christ-like in my trials. But there was that added. And then in 2017, I found myself just very disconnected from David, from God. I had given up. And at that point, I feel like the real war began. And at that very moment, I believe it was a temptation, and Satan had come in. And I picture it like Job, and God saying, let me take her, or not God, Satan saying, let me take her marriage, and certainly she'll curse you to your face. And so I found myself face on the ground. And what I want to say to all of you today is, we are in a war. we are in a war. And if you decide to stay on the ground and not fight, it's okay, but the war is still going to go on. So I made the choice to get up and fight. And so, yeah, I feel like all that to say it was like a lot of this, some of this, and at the very end, it was just all out war.
I remember that stretch of your life. I was right there with you.
You
And
were.
for me, you were always the rock. Like everybody leaned on Donna. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like Donna
right.
could do everything. Donna knows everything. You know, Donna is our rock. And for me, as your friend, it was hard to see you not as the rock and what
Right.
is my place in helping you through this
Yes,
time.
yes,
So-
and you were so incredibly helpful.
Oh, I don't know. I think I remember one morning you telling me, "Don't push me anymore."
Enough.
Enough. But your dry bones,
Yes,
You know,
they came back
they
to
came
life.
back to life.
Yeah.
Which brings us kind of back to Ezekiel.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's read Ezekiel again. So Ezekiel 37, I said, O sovereign Lord, you alone I know. Then he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make a breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am Lord.
I love that.
So God instructs us.
Yes.
You know, God instructs us to listen, and He will give us the words.
That's so good. I think we'll wrap that into our practices for this week. So
Perfect.
to kind of like circle us back around, our first week was just that heart posture of Ezekiel that, you know, I don't know, Lord, you know, only you're God, only you know. And then the second week we did Job, where it was like, no matter what you take or give, I will worship you. And then this week, I think we really get into prayer and we ask God, like, what are you trying to tell us that we need to speak into our own lives? So what is it that God wants us to speak into, you know, our lives, and just prophesy and say, oh, you know, whether you're going through, you know, whatever, financial, health, whatever it is that you might be struggling through, that you can really hear from God this week. That's our prayer for you, is that you'll really hear from Him, and then He'll bring breath into your life as you identify those things and speak into it and prophesy into your own life. So I think that'll be a good practice.
I love that. I've actually every morning been saying to myself, okay, instead of asking God, like, for this today, like, bless me with this today, how do you want me to bless others today?
Oh, that's good.
And that's the only thing I've been saying to God in my car, on my way to work, every day. How do you want me to bless others today?
That's wonderful.
So don't forget to do your practices this week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're excited to hear all of your comments. We've been seeing them all now, and we're just so excited that you're interacting with us. We're in this together.
Yes,
Next
we are.
week, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the myth.
Yep. And just keep walking the faith. Don't believe the lie that God never gives you more than you can handle. Now that's funny.
From the heavens high above, I feel the touch of His laughter and love. In every moment, tear and smile, God's humor is heard, every step, every mile. Keep walking, dear sister. You've got this.